Hello, vintage outboard motor fans. This is T-Mike here on Toledo Bend Lake. I'm making another video today. Today's video is going to be on the fuel pump conversion for the 5.5 horsepower Johnson and Evinrudes. It's been a long time coming making this video. I make the conversion kits for the 7.5, 10s, 15s, and 18s, but they don't apply to the 5.5 horsepower. So here's going to be the kit that you need to do the 5.5. So it's going to be a 6-part video. All right. First part is going to be some background on the dual line fuel system. Then we're going to give you a little background on the single line fuel system. And then we're going to go over the exhaust cover modification method for the 7.5s, the 10s, the 15s, and the 18. And then we're going to show you the carburetor manifold modification method for the 5.5. All right. And then we're going to have a special considerations talk about the conversion on the 5.5. There's a few things that I need to make you aware of before you buy the kit. All right. And then we're going to do a summary. So this ought to be a great video. I'm excited to make it. I hope you are too. So if everybody's ready, here we go. All right. So here we go with part 1. We're going to give you a little background on the dual line fuel system. So the original fuel design for these outboard motors, and we're talking about the 1950s and 60s, Johnson and Evinrude's 5.5 horsepower all the way up to 18 horsepower. They had a dual line system. So you had 2 lines going down into the tank, and it was a pressurized tank. The carburetor would send out pulses of air down into the tank, build up pressure, and push the fuel back up the other line into the carburetor. All right, so they work fine. The issue is that these tanks, because they're pressurized, have seals everywhere. They have a primer button on the tank, and of course those go out with time. So the idea came up with a single line system that would replace the 2 line, and that design changed in the 70s. So that's part 1. Part 2, give you some background on how the single line system works so you can understand what the conversion kit does. So in the single line fuel system, a fuel pump was mounted up in the motor, and it took the pulses of air from the carburetor and had a diaphragm in it that flapped and created a vacuum with a single line going down into the tank, and it sucked the gas up into the carburetor. About 5 to 7 pounds of vacuum pressure pulling that fuel up through the single line into the carburetor. So that's the single line system. All right. So now we're going to go over the modification for the 7.5, 10s, 15s, and 18s. The modification is to replace here's a 7.5 horsepower power head. So I have designed and came up with a kit to replace the exhaust cover with this cover, and then once you replace that, you can screw a fuel pump onto this cover. All right, so the pulses of air come through this cylinder. The piston's going back and forth, creates pulses of air that are fed into this fuel pump. The fuel pump flapper inside, diaphragm flap, creates a vacuum sucking gas up from the tank and brings it over to the carburetor. Okay, so I sell that kit. Sold quite a few of them for the 7.5s, 10s, 15s, and 18s. They work fine. All right. So now we're going to talk about the 5.5, which is what you tuned in for, to see how to upgrade your 5.5 horsepower from dual line to single line. The 5.5 horsepower power heads don't have an exhaust bypass cover, so this modification won't work. You can't put that cover on it. So the way you do it is you take the carburetor manifold off, you plug one of the holes of the two pistons pushing out air through this jet. You plug one of the holes and that creates a pulse, and then you mount a fuel pump like this externally right here, feed that hose into this fuel pump, which creates the vacuum to suck the single line up in there. So I sell that kit. The links for the 5.5 and all the others is in the description. I sell them on eBay. You can buy them from me. And I have the videos on this conversion, how to do it. And now I'm going to show you how to do the actual conversion. I'm going to convert this power head over to single line and show you all the steps. So once you buy the kit, you'll know what to do. So here's the 5.5, and here's the kit. It includes the new fuel connector you're going to need for the single line. It includes the fuel pump itself. It includes all the hosing you'll need, more than you need, the clamps for them. And then this is the vacuum tube cover that we're going to use to plug one of the holes underneath this carburetor manifold. So I'm going to set my camera up now and actually perform the upgrade so that when you buy the kit, you know exactly what to do. All right, so here we go with the conversion. First of all, we're going to have to take the carburetor manifold off. So I got my fancy little screwdriver here. Okay, carburetor manifold comes right off. And then the reed plate right here comes off. Okay, there's the gasket for it. So here's the two valves that pulse back and forth. When the pistons are moving back and forth, the pulse of air come out of here and then it shoots out of this barb. All right, that's designed to pressurize the tank. We're going to convert it to a single pulse. So we're going to remove this set of valves, and we're going to plug one hole with this vacuum tube. We're going to plug one hole up, and that's going to make it just send pulses out to operate the new fuel pump we're putting on. All right, so I'm going to remove that. Okay, so I got the two valves removed from these holes. Now I'm going to take the provided vacuum tube, and I like to cut about 1/8 of an inch off of it. I like to cut it about right there. And the reason for that is when we plug that hole and put it all back together, it squashes this piece down, and you don't want too much of it in there. So I'm going to take it, and I'm going to come from the back side of it and push either side. Push that tube in to block that hole. Okay, you see it? All right. Now I'm going to put my gasket back here. Set it on, and then I'm going to set my manifold back on. And I'm going to put all my screws back in. All right, got it all back together. So now what we've done is we've created a pulse of air coming out of this barb. All right, so here's the provided fuel pump, and I have a little diagram on here. The pulses go into this barb. All right, the fuel line from the fuel connector, provided connector that's going to go on the tiller handle. That fuel line comes into this one, and this lead goes out to the carb. So that's how you install this pump. So I normally just take a tie wrap and put it around this section right here. All right, hang the carb right here inside the cover. It covers fine. And you run a line from here. All right, you take the hose and the clamps and you run a line from here to here for the pulse. All right, so from this lead, from this one here to here, and then you come from the connector to the fuel here and out to the carburetor from here. All right, there it is. Pulses into here, fuel into here, and out to the carb here. And once you do that, you have converted your 5.5 horsepower to a single line system. How about that? All right, so that's how you do the conversion on the 5.5. Very simple. Can't really mess up, and if you do, you can always contact me. I'll walk you through it or give you any advice you need. All right, so now let's go on to part 5, which is going to be the special considerations when you're doing this conversion. So as I said before, the vacuum that it takes to pull that fuel up through the line is about 5 to 7 pounds. So because it's a smaller engine, a 5.5, that amount of pressure is kind of marginal. I've measured it with a vacuum tester. It's right around 5 pounds, 3 to 5 pounds. So when you're running these motors and on a barrel or on your stand, and you got the gas tank way down on the ground, sometimes it can't lift that fuel up and get it in there. But if you put it at the height in the boat, it's about 18 inches from the motor, and it can suck it up. So just be aware that it's kind of marginal on the amount of vacuum that's in there. So if you're testing it, it's not working, raise your tank up closer to the motor and it'll work. It does work. All right, so that's the biggest consideration on this. They work fine. I've been converting these motors for years using this type of conversion, and it works fine. All right, so let's summarize. All right, in part 1, we talked about the dual line system, the pressurized system, and how that works. All right, in part 2, we talked about the single line system and how it vacuum sucks the fuel up. All right, in the third part, we talked about the exhaust cover modification for the 7.5, 10s, 15s, and 18. And then in the fourth part, we talked about the carburetor manifold conversion that we just showed you how to do. All right, and then in part 5, we talked about the special consideration for the gas tank to be closer to the motor to make it work. All right, so that should be everything you need to know to do the fuel conversion on the 5.5s. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I love what I do. Keep the requests coming in. This was a request from a customer to make a video and to provide the kit, and I fulfilled his request. So I love doing that. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. I love it. And remember, always remember, and never forget, here at T Mike's Vintage Outboards, we're doing it one motor at a time. See y'all next video. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I know I enjoyed making it. If you did enjoy it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I make at least one video every week. And then go ahead and hit the like button and join the T Mike fraternity. So if you're this first time watching one of my videos, I have over 350 videos of everything you need to know about repair, maintaining, and restoring your vintage outboard motors. I specialize in Johnson and Evinrude's 3 horsepower to 20 horsepower, 1950s, 60s, and 70s. So as I said, I have every video you need to know on how to work on these motors. And if I don't have one, I want you to let me know. Just hit in the comments on one of the videos and tell me what video I need to make, and I'll make it for you. I've also got every part you need to work on these motors. I have an eBay store. You can get to my eBay store by Googling T Mike Vintage Outboards, or click on the link down below in the description. I have over 2,000 parts in my eBay store. I sell all the hardware. I sell all the kits, spark wires, ignition, magneto components, points, coils, condensers, gear case, seals, everything. I even have some printed 3D printed plastic handle grips and other parts for you. So I have all the videos and I have all the parts you need. I also now am providing parts manuals. So I have over 150 hard copy parts manuals, 1923 to 1958. So you can get your parts manuals from me too. So this is my passion. My goal was to have every video, every part, and every parts manual that you need. And if I don't have what you need, let me know. You can always call me for technical assistance too. My number is 337-278-5429. Give me a shout out. I love text messaging. I'll try to help you and answer your question. So I enjoy what I do. I hope you're having as much fun as I am working on these motors. And remember, always remember, and never forget, here at T. Mike's Vintage Outboards, we're doing it one motor at a time. See you next video.